Welcome back. This is Sub Me In, number 36, here at Unversed Productions, hosting it. You can always go listen to Audio Vision on iTunes. We're also on iTunes. If not, you can always enjoy it here. But just on the go, just on the go. For those people who are on the go and don't want to look at me, but we're gonna do things here differently today. We don't got no question. I don't got no question today. That's basically pretty much because we're gonna be talking about the '90s for a bit. So that's gonna take most of the time. Other stories are like whatevers, right? Not really whatevers, but still whatevers. But let's get on to this. Hey, remember to before the video starts, to just always make sure you're subscribed, whether you're new here, old here, just came up into this podcast, whatever. We do things differently. What was I gonna say? Hit that bell notification just so you always get notified. Notification squad. I don't know what people are into these days, but first we're gonna start off with the great big story here, which I always say I don't really like listening to negative news. There was a tragic thing that went on in New Zealand, and it's horrible, obviously, but we're gonna let the major news outlets, wherever you get your news from, cover that. You should know that already, what happened. It's sad, it's tragic, horrible things when that happens. I don't know what's wrong with Facebook. Apparently, someone's already live streamed. I believe it was live streamed, something like that. And Facebook, when you see that happening, some action should be taken effective immediately. I don't know what happened. I mean, I know what happened, but with Facebook and stuff, like why didn't they notify somebody or something, or shut that live stream down right away? Because you never know who's watching, who's on the computer and stuff. But yeah, prayers to all those families, friends, people that had to experience that. It's sad. But here at, like I said, on Unversed, obviously we have to, I still feel like everybody, let people know if nobody knows about it. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows about it, but for those who don't, it's there. But I always want to talk about positive stuff here, so that's why I use this app called The Great Big Story. There's always, I'm always reading into some amazing stuff that's going on in the world, because sometimes, even if you go on when I go on YouTube, some stuff that comes up is just always negative stuff, like bad Uber drives, stuff that happened, public freakouts, cops arresting cops, just all this negativity on my feed. I don't know if it's because I'm always searching up stuff, but I want to look at things that are positive as well, and that's why I use this app called The Great Big Story. It has amazing stories like this one, Travails of a Traveling Knife Grinder. So there's this guy in Paris, France, called Thierry Coursier. He had a good life as a logistics worker, so he was getting paid great. He had a great salary. His work was comfortable. It's not one of those jobs where it's like 9 to 5 and you're going in and you're like, like in a kitchen or something, right? Like labor stuff. It wasn't one of those. It was pretty comfortable. He sat at a desk all day. Maybe some people don't like that. Some things like that, some works like that aren't for everybody. But I know that everybody strives to get a job like that. You're comfortable. You're just sitting down. You're pretty much working on a desk, computer, or whatever, and you get paid good. But Thierry wasn't happy. Like I said, it's not for everybody. He wanted to follow his something he loved doing. And one of his side things, like his, I want to say hobby in the beginning, was knife grinding. Knife grinding. If you don't know what knife grinding is, it's pretty much sharpening knives, tools, like blades that people use. Like I think fishermen use it. Definitely restaurants, cooks, chefs. What else? Fishmonger, butcher, stuff like that. Scissors, anything that's has a blade. He pretty much gave up his 9 to 5 to. I said 9 to 5. Well, it is a 9 to 5. Desk jobs can't be 9 to 5. To chase his dream of becoming a traveling knife grinder. So he's not just a regular knife grinder who has a shop, and goes around, picks up knives, takes it back to a shop. Because there's companies like that. There's people like that. But this guy travels in a little van. He gets to travel, visit little streets, visit little new communities and stuff. And he just goes in, I guess talks to people maybe, I don't know. And tells them, hey, I'm a traveling knife grinder. If you need some you need me to sharpen your tools, I can do so. His shop is actually in his van. It's a little small, shop, and whatever tools he needs to sharpen, he'll switch up the blades. Not the blades, the grinder machine. It's like a whetstone. Yeah, it's like a whetstone. And he'll just do that, return them, and get paid. So that's a dream come true. If that's his dream, that's what he wants to do, and he gave up his life for it. It doesn't matter what he's getting paid. It's just like he enjoys doing that. He says he feels like he bonds with the blade, or something like that. I don't know. It was something very, very spiritual, emotional, So it's cool, I'm down for that. Like, I'm not down to work like that, but yeah, he goes from restaurant to butcher to fishmonger, sharpening knives, scissors, and everything in between. So that's pretty cool. Good for him. Following his dream. It's what you gotta do. It's if it's something that makes you happy, it's what makes you. It's the best job in the world for you. It's the best job it's the best job in the world for you. I lost my thought. My train of thought there, but yeah. Sometimes you gotta, like if you're not, talking from experience, if you're not happy with, the place you're at, sometimes you gotta say, what, I gotta risk it, take a risk, and, leave and do something I enjoy doing. Even if, start off, being paid less or, not getting paid at all. But once you start, enjoy what you're doing what you enjoy, and then getting that income from it, then you're living a good life. Like, honestly, yeah, it's better than working a job and every morning, every day you're heading over there. You wake up and you're gonna go to this job that you don't enjoy. And on a drive there, you just feel sad and depressed. It's not the greatest feeling in the world. So if you can wake up and know that you're heading to go to work at some place that you enjoy doing, no matter the pay, it's gonna feel good. You're gonna feel healthy. You're not gonna feel stressed out. You're not gonna feel depressed. You're gonna feel like you belong. I know it's cheesy. A lot of people be saying stuff like that. Obviously, if you know the hat that I'm wearing or something, you're gonna be like, "Wow, this guy is just a fanboy of this dude and just wants to these cheesy things." It's possible, People say it's impossible, but it's possible. It's possible to change. Change is possible. You just have to work for it. You just have to work hard for it. Make sure you get that income from it, from whatever you're doing. And, it'll work itself out. Trust me. It does. You gotta hope. You gotta believe. But let's move on. Let's move on from the cheesy dreams that nobody likes to talk about a lot. It's true. People. I always say that I don't like talking about negative news or anything, but sometimes people actually enjoy negative news. I don't know why. It's like it calms down. But let's get on with what Google's planning with gaming. I think the conference should have passed, and they were announcing that they were going to get involved with the gaming world, in the gaming industry. And what they were doing is, I was reading this. It's pretty much it's like playing those high resolution games, like with good graphics and stuff that usually normally require strong power or something, but this will allow him to play those people. Will allow people to play with them with lower standards. You know what I mean? So let's see. Main focus isn't on a console, so it's not a console. This is strictly, I'm guessing, like online type of thing, a streaming platform. Okay, so yeah, no console, but instead a streaming platform with all sorts of bells and whistles. What bells and whistles are just like little stuff. So a fancy new controller that you can use to play it. So its streaming is no secret. Okay, Google's investment in streaming is no secret. Last fall, the company's Project Stream beta allowed users with high-speed internet connections to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey in a Chrome tab, rather than processing the game's graphics locally using a high-end PC or gaming console. Project Streaming ran the game on Google servers, allowing users to play the game by downloading data on the fly, also known as streaming. Like I said, normally the console, why there's consoles is for it to produce enough power to be able to play those high graphical games like the ones we had, like PlayStation 4 and Xbox games. Nintendo took a while to have those graphics. I don't know, it was something with power, I don't know. But they finally got it with the Switch. But Google is going to do this with streaming power, if that makes sense. It's not new technology, but past stabs at it had fizzled mostly because of latency issues, a problem that Google's decision makers think they can solve thanks to the data centers they've got all around the world. What I wanted to talk about. So here it is. The appeal, of course, is being able to play high-end games without having to dish out hundreds of dollars for gaming hardware. With Google hopes will allow it to reach hundreds of millions of people rather than the tens of millions who currently own video game consoles. So yeah, not everybody can own consoles, but you can own like internet services. I guess some people don't want to look at that notification. I'm part of a notification squad. So let's see. What I wanted to focus on was the bells and whistles of this. That's the wild part of this. So that I found interesting and kind of didn't really like. So I'm trying to find it. It was something about it. So all right. So here it is. One scenario that's been described to us by 3 different people. You're watching your favorite Twitch streamer play a game and you think it looks cool, so you buy it, and then if the developers of the game have toggled this feature, you can download a save file that starts you off right where your streamer was playing. Or maybe it's a multiplayer game and you can buy the game and immediately jump into a match with the streamer if the developers allow it and the streamer is down. So that sounds crazy, right? So you could just, if you see somebody playing, whether he's on YouTube or stream gaming, you see him playing a game and you're interested in it, so you can just buy it instantly instead of having to buy a disc or a downloadable code. And then right off the bat, you can create a save file from where they left off and start off there. See, what I don't like about that is when I play games, I like to play games and complete them from start to finish. You know what I mean? Sometimes 100% completion. So if I were to just, get a save file and start off where somebody else left it off that I was just watching, like I just missed a bunch of the beginning of the game. A bunch of whether it's story wise or whatever. So that just ruined that isn't for me. That just isn't for me. I don't know for other people who are lazy and aren't into the whole playing the game all the way through. That could be an awesome feature for you guys, but for people like me who are into the whole start to finish completion, that I'm not interested in. That's just something I don't like. Also, with the whole multiplayer online game, if you're playing, you could just join them. Like, I feel like as if you were streaming a game that's multiplayer. I mean, it can be cool to just be like, oh, he's online, let me join him. That can be cool if you're into that. That's obviously for those multiplayer games like the Battle Royale these days. So that's a cool feature for them. I wouldn't mind that. I don't know if the streamer, like sometimes streamers don't want to play. I mean, they want to play like private games maybe. I don't know. It's cool to, I hope the streamer is cool with it, like you joining them right off the bat. They should be cool with it, especially if they're playing those Battle Royale games. But I know some people that wouldn't be down for that. Like they stream and then they're like, oh no, I don't want nobody to, pretty much private, they want to play private. But it's still a cool feature, I think, for those online multiplayer games. So that's all right. But the other one where you just start off, nah, I'm not cool with that. But that was another thing about YouTube integration. We've heard a variety of possibilities surrounding that, including ads that allow you to buy games directly, and far more interesting, a feature that can tell where you are in the game and automatically load up the correct spot in a YouTube walkthrough if you want help. We also know that Google has been funding its own video games and that the company has been poaching developers and executives from all over the video game world. So they've got a couple of developers. Some people named, if you know them, Phil Harrison from PlayStation and Xbox, and Jade Raymond also announced that she was joining the company. So that's a couple of stuff that Google's doing with video games. Some stuff is cool, some stuff I'm not a huge fan of, but overall, maybe people will, get into it. They'll like it. Me, I'm on both sides of the end of the thing, but that's just me. That's just me. I'm more of a story-driven games. Those story-driven games. I play the games for the story. Start to finish. Sometimes 100% completion. Try to accomplish those little small accomplishments, achievements, if possible. But the multiplayer one sounds cool. For those people who want to join their YouTubers, or streamers. That's about 8 actors whose careers were changed mainly because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sebastian Stan, if you don't know him, he plays Bucky Barnes in Captain America: The First Avenger. Showed up in the other two. I think he showed up in the other two Captain America movies. But before this, he was just he was known for playing minor roles in projects like Gossip Girl and Hot Tub Time Machine. So this Bucky Barnes pretty much boosted his career up. Anthony Mackie, if you don't know him from he's Falcon in the MCU. He pretty much only did supporting roles as well. Movies like A Mile, $1 Million Baby, and Hurt Locker, but wasn't necessarily a star until he joined the Avengers. So there's that. Dave Bautista, I call him David Bautista, I don't know. He was a professional wrestler. And it's tough to do that because jumping from being a WWE superstar to Hollywood, but The Rock, because of The Rock, The Rock was able to do it. He's a former wrestler now. And he's the biggest movie star in the world. He's making movies like crazy. You see one movie come out and it's The Rock. Another movie, it's The Rock again. But, if you saw... Because, if you've seen wrestlers in movies, they're mostly not good. You know, like Kane, See No Evil, John Cena with the Marine, uh, Triple H with the Chaperone. There was who else? Stone Cold Steve Austin was also in the movie. Oh, he was in The Longest Yard. That's right. But not the star mainly. They're not really good. But one who I've seen successful is Dave. He's the closest one, I want to say. Next would be John Cena. Now he's making the comeback. But yeah, I've enjoyed the Batista in Guardians of the Galaxy. But his other films, I've seen him in other films and they weren't so, they were, like I said, B-roll movies. So Tom Hiddleston he's Loki, Thor. He's been in Crimson Peak, The Night Manager. So I didn't really hear about him so much until he was Loki. Paul Rudd. I've seen him in like romantic comedies a lot. So it was fun to see him in the Ant-Man. But then again, in romantic comedy, romantic comedies aren't like huge. They're not like huge. They're like funny to watch. They're good to watch with like a date or something. But they're not big movies. At least that I know. That's how I feel. So, and Paul Rudd has been in a lot of them. And then he was in a Michael Myers movie. But I think after being Ant-Man, I think that's gonna show him that he can be more. I mean, yeah, it was still like comedy, but a little bit more serious with it, because it's action, So I think that's gonna open up some doors for him. Cobie Smulders, didn't really know much about her. She was in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. movie, Agent Maria. So we'll see what happens with her. TV is different from movies, obviously. Robert Downey Jr. Apparently he's been in a lot of movies, but I didn't know him, so I've only known Robert Downey Jr. for his Iron Man role, So apparently he's been a big movie star, but not as big as he is today. Then he's been a drug addict. He's been addicted to drugs. Public controversies led to a stint in the rehab and what was thought to be the end of his career. But then Marvel took a chance on him with 2000 Iron Man. Oh, that is crazy. Betting on a comeback. And he was back in the Hollywood fold. Oh, man, that is crazy. All right. And then Chris Pratt. I mean, I've seen him from Parks and Recreation. And he was pretty much... he's pretty much an idiot in that movie. I mean, in that show. But he wasn't like a main cast in the beginning, so he was like a supporting role, I want to say. But then he became a main cast, and I guess after that he got they got him for the Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know what else. Let's see. Packed on a bunch of muscle in the body to cross between Han Solo and Indiana Jones to become an overnight sensation. Now he's one of the biggest movie stars in the world, with leading roles in other huge franchises like Jurassic World. And oh yeah, that's true. So I mean, pretty much after he got the role from Guardians of the Galaxy, I saw him in Jurassic World and the Lego Movie. But that's 8 actors whose lives were changed from just a movie role. It shows that movies have an impact and they can change, people's lives. And we've seen it with other, not just in the MCU, but other movies as well. Pretty sure I can say like Bradley Cooper was one of them. I mean, I didn't know about Bradley Cooper until, The Hangover. And he got some good movies afterwards. Another one would be, Jake Gyllenhaal. He was in smaller roles in like Source Code and stuff. But I think after End of Watch. Also, Michael Pena after End of Watch. Both of them, their careers have changed. Just shows, man, one good movie can open doors for you. That means I need to be in a good movie. All right. I'm actually going to take a small little break, and then we're going to get into like the 90s stuff. 25 things that were normal to do in the 90s. Okay, I want to do something special here. Instead of asking a question, this is going to be a pretty much, I don't know. It's going to be like a huge, it's just a 25 list of things that we did in the 90s. Well, 95, I was a little morrito. Not really, I didn't do any of this, but maybe later in my life, maybe like 5 years later, 6 years, 7, 8 years, 9, 10, possibly. But these were normal things to do in 95. And some people probably will never get to experience it or understand what this was. So, I mean, pretty much you can say question of the week can be, how many of these things do you remember or relate to or remember, like did, or, stuff like, can you believe it or something? Or is there anything you can compare this to today or something? Or compare like how things were done back then to now, because a lot of things is like, oh, you guys did this, but we did this. So like, for example, the first one, if you wanted to rent the newest blockbuster movie, it meant having to get to the video store early on a release date, because there was a good chance they'd run out of copies. So yeah, back then blockbusters used to exist. If you don't know what a blockbuster is, it's pretty much like what today is a family video. If you still don't know what a family video is, it's pretty much like a Redbox, but a store. It's in a building, and you went out there and picked out movies to rent. But normally, if it was like something new that recently came out, you had to go early, because there's a good chance there wasn't going to be on it. Because even today, if you go to a family video, I don't know if you guys have any video rental stores, but around here we have a family video. And if if I want to go rent a movie, I still do. If I want to go rent a movie, like a physical copy of it, I go to my local family video, which is pretty much like 10 minutes away from here, 5 to 10 minutes. And if I want to see the newest movie that just came out, there's a good chance it might not be there for me. So yeah, I have to go there early. But again, same thing with like staying on the number 2, staying on with the topic of video rental places. If you wanted to avoid late fees, you could go before, I believe, 12 or 11, like before they close pretty much on the day of the last day to return it. And you just throw your box movie onto a little slip. It's like a little, kind of like if you've been to a library store and you want to return your books, it fits the DVDs or video games, and you just pop it in there. Sometimes, they're 24 hours. For 24 hours, and just if you don't, they're closed, you can still return it. If you want to watch a movie at home, then you had to actually call your local you have to watch it on pay-per-view. You would have to dial your, provider, and a man would actually answer, and you would talk it out and tell him what you wanted to watch and make the payment, So yeah, it meant talking to another human. Nowadays, you could just, go on Netflix, watch a movie there, stream it, or, if you want to watch a brand new movie on demand, you could just do it via your remote control. I believe so. If you were going to drop off or pick up your friends or family at the airport, you could go all the way through security and walk them to the gates, and then you could watch them fly through the windows, through the gates. You can watch them depart, you can watch them come in, whatever. It's pretty much like that episode of Friends, if you've seen it, where Ross is chasing Rachel. Yeah, you were able to do that. And staying on the airport topic, you were allowed to check in up to 2 bags for free, no charge, free of charge, along with your carry-on. I think nowadays is you can have one carry-on and check in one bag for free. I think. I don't know. I don't carry that much luggage. If you couldn't find a number in the phone book, then you could dial 411 and a human operator will look up the number for you. So, but you did have to pay though. You had to pay for it. There was a fee. If you wanted to change your time, to the correct time, you know how there's time changes. You could call Popcorn or 767-2676, and an automated operator will tell you the time. Popcorn. Disneyland. If you wanted to go to Disneyland, Magic Kingdom, you had to wait in long lines because there was no fast pass. Nowadays there is a fast pass, but you also had to actually talk with the people you were with because there was nothing to entertain yourself with. You know, nowadays you can pop out your cell phone. You know, you got your iPods. You can listen to your music, whatever. If you take those, but back then you had to conversate. McDonald's, you couldn't pay with your card. You actually had to take cash. They didn't take cards. If you had to send an important document ASAP, you probably did it through a fax, especially if it required a signature. Yeah, there was fax machines. I don't know if there is fax machine. I think there is still. Pretty sure still people still do that. If you're going somewhere and wanted to take pictures, then you had to remember to take your camera with you. That included film, extra film, and extra film. So you can. There was no little, memory sticks. I mean, but I still take my camera though. But nowadays, you can take cameras with your phones. Have amazing cameras that you can take amazing pictures with and post them on your social medias and stuff. Back then, it was a disposable camera with film. I mean, I still do it because I do photography for a hobby. I still take my DSLR camera with me and all my travel gear and stuff. So I'm still carrying stuff, extra batteries, chargers, stuff like that. But back then, if you were just for fun, a disposable camera with film. That was number 11 and 12. Number 13, if you wanted someone to call you back and they weren't home, you would have to leave them a message. It wasn't called a voicemail, FTR, on their answering machine. So it was on their answering machine. That doesn't make sense, but you had to leave a message. And you pretty much had to memorize everyone's phone number that you called on a regular basis. That's number 14. So yeah, there was sometimes phone books that you could carry and you could write down your numbers. But if you didn't use that, then you had to memorize numbers. And if you wanted to page a friend or family member, you'd have to wait around the phone for them to call you back. And if you were calling from the streets, there was phone booths. If you wanted to tape something off the TV, then you had to make sure you had a blank VHS tape, or else you'd have to tape over a video you wanted to save. Oh shoot. Someone's coming. Alright. Quiet mode. If you wanted to see what movies and albums are coming out that week, then you probably looked through the Sunday paper's circulars. Just in case. So yeah, movies. Couldn't look up your phones. Had to look through magazines. You also looked through the paper's classifieds for everything from jobs and secondhand items for sale to apartments and misconnections. That's right. You're looking for jobs, newspaper. If you're looking for apartments, newspaper, stuff like that. Everything was in the newspaper back then. If you didn't have a store like J. Crew around, then you could order items through its catalog, which yes required filling out a form and doing it all through the mail, or calling them and talking to an operator if you wanted to get your items a little quicker. That was online shopping. It was still through magazines. If you're traveling or didn't have internet at home, then you could check your email and browse the internet at cyber cafes. Yep, I remember I would go. I actually also went to remember going to cyber cafes to play video games because I didn't have internet. I didn't have a computer nor internet. Or I would go to my parents' jobs and use their boss's computers. Sometimes I would lock them, trying to figure out the passcodes. If you watch the bootleg movie, then it most likely was something someone recorded at a movie theater with a camcorder. That's true. I remember back in middle school, there was a friend of mine who recorded movies at the theaters, and he would let me borrow them. That's how I watched the latest movies if I didn't go rent them. If you got a gift card, it was actually a gift certificate printed on paper, and there was no way to replace it if it was lost. Oh yeah. If you wanted B-sides, remixes, and international singles from an artist you liked, then you'd have to buy them from a record store. That's if they carried them. If you wanted to see your favorite artist live, and if they were popular, then you'd more than likely have to get into a huge line at the venue or local Ticketmaster to buy the tickets. Never experienced that because I was too young to go see shows. So if anybody knows about that, there's that. And if I didn't go to my first concert until I was like 18, so that was like not too far. That was recent, you know. And finally, if you wanted to watch porn, then you'd have to watch a screen that looked like this, and it was like this. I don't know what that is. Unless you had a black box, subscribe to the Playboy Spice channel, or owned a porn VHS movie, of course. Porn VHS movie. Actually, no, I didn't know anything about VHS porns. DVDs, yes. Not VHS though. So if there's anything you can relate to there, or you can compare it to like, wow, that's what you guys did back then, and I did this. That's something. What is something that you found, you know, from that list interesting, or you know, like crazy that you can't believe, and compare it to your own lives. If you're like, you know, from the Young Bucks, you know, or if you remember those times, you know, be like, wow, look at that nostalgia. Something that you remember doing, like you know, like I was saying, like I hadn't experienced none of the concerts or you know some of that porn stuff, or you know, but I did experience, you know, I remember Blockbusters. I remember, you know, having to return movies like that. You know, a couple of things I don't. You know, pay-per-views I do remember. But I didn't order them because parents were like, no, you ain't gonna pay to watch a movie here for one time. Alright, we're moving on with soccer talk now. We got a couple of things talking about here today. Champions League, Europa League, and at the end of an era for a certain player, and this whole thing about Club World Cup update. New Club World Cup. About people not liking stuff, and people liking some things and others, I don't know, stuff like that. But first, let's get on with Champions League. So, we saw that last week, the past 2 weeks, who advanced and who's gonna miss out. But pretty much the draw was already set. They already did the draw like over the weekend, I believe, or sometime last week maybe. But you know, some games only once a week. So we didn't get that, but so here's what we got: Ajax versus Juventus, Liverpool versus Porto, Tottenham versus Man City, and Manchester United versus Barcelona. Off the bat, let's talk about so far what teams that I have predicted are making it. Juventus, I believe I said Liverpool, Manchester City and Barcelona. Manchester United was somebody I wanted to win, but I thought PSG was actually going to beat them, so I'm not going to count Manchester City. So I got 4 in there from my original 8. That's not bad. It's halfway through. So let's talk about what's going to happen now. My predictions for this one is, so how it's looking. This is what it's looking like in the table, pretty much. You know, who will win, who wins, who's gonna face who. And let's see. Between Tottenham and Manchester City, I think Manchester City will win that. How do I think they feel? I think Manchester City feels pretty chill, pretty relaxed. I think they're thinking. I'm pretty sure in their mindset they're gonna say it's not gonna be an easy win, but you know, we could definitely win. Percentage wise, maybe 80% chance of them winning. Ajax versus Juventus. I think Ajax. I think they've said it also. They made a comment about this. They did not want Ajax. It's probably one of the teams they didn't want. That's probably how Tottenham feels as well. Tottenham is probably feeling nervous. Let's go back to Tottenham and Manchester City. But Tottenham is probably feeling like a little bit nervous. Probably a team they wanted to avoid. The same feeling that Ajax is probably feeling against Juventus. Juventus is pretty much, I want to say they're feeling kind of like how Real Madrid probably felt. Easy win, easy pass. We're going on to the semifinals. You never know what can happen in football, though. But Ajax is probably feeling, more nervous. More nervous than how maybe they felt with Real Madrid. Maybe against Real Madrid, they're probably thinking, Real Madrid doesn't have a good season. They're not playing really well in La Liga. We can actually have a chance of winning here. And they did. They surprised them and beat them. Against Juventus, maybe they don't feel the same way. Maybe they know Juventus recently got the first loss in Serie A. Yeah, it's the Italian league, but the Italian league, people say it's not that competitive, but they still have teams like Napoli, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Lazio. I still think those teams, Roma, I still think like those teams are pretty good, so they're not bad. And for Juventus to have had like a streak of where they weren't losing is pretty impressive. Even I can admit that. So Ajax is pretty much scared. I want to think they're a little bit scared, nervous. They're gonna have to be focused on. They did say they preferred to have a Manchester United because Manchester United right now is probably like Real Madrid was. So Ajax would have had a better chance of winning that game. Speaking of Manchester United, they will be going up against Barcelona. This is now the other side of the bracket. So Manchester United will be going up against Barcelona. That's probably a team they really didn't want to win, especially because Barcelona is probably my number one pick in winning this year's Champions League. As we saw, Manchester United in the FA Cup just got eliminated by Wolves, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Barcelona, I don't think they're feeling like Juventus, where it's going to be like Juventus is feeling really dominant. I think Barcelona is feeling, not dominant, but a good chance of them winning. Pretty much like Manchester City, I want to say. So there's that. I think Manchester City will beat Tottenham. I think Juventus will beat Ajax. I think Barcelona will beat Manchester United. And finally, the last one, Liverpool versus Porto. Again, Liverpool is pretty much, I think, feeling like Manchester City and Barcelona. No, I think Liverpool is feeling more like Juventus. Really, really relaxed. Like dominant. While Porto, like everybody else, could have had a better team to go up against, So it pretty much set out to be like strong teams versus a more... Well, for Juventus and Liverpool, it seems like for them, they got lucky, super lucky, because they probably think it's a pass. But again, you never know what happens in football. Anything can happen. Whereas for Manchester City and Barcelona, they have teams who can, be considered competition. It could be considered good games. It's not much of a, how Juventus and Liverpool are in, but they feel confident that they will win. That's how I feel it. So my picks here are Manchester City, Juventus, Barcelona, Liverpool, as probably for everybody else, So possible semifinals, if we're speaking like anything goes, anything can happen. Tottenham or Manchester City versus Ajax or Juventus, and Barcelona or Manchester United versus Liverpool or Porto. So if games, obviously, will be quarterfinals. First leg will be April 9th and 10th, and the quarterfinals second leg will be on the 16th and 17th of April. Semifinals will end the second leg of the first and second leg of the semifinals will be on May 7th and 8th, and then on Saturday of 1st of June will be the final in Madrid. That is Champions League for you guys. I think still So if we're going to move on a little bit further, so I said Manchester City, Barcelona, Juventus, and Liverpool will win. If we move a little bit further, if that happens, I actually can see Juventus versus Barcelona in the final. I could see that. What else I can see is, still Barcelona versus Manchester City. Because I think Barcelona, Liverpool's going to be a strong team, but I think Barcelona will take them down. And Manchester City versus Juventus, that'll be a really good game. But who has the edge? Well, we'll see. Anything can happen, honestly. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Juventus, and hopefully we can see a Messi versus Ronaldo in the final. Once again, why not, right? Why not? That's what I'm hoping for. Let's go on with Europa League, though. So there's also was... I know I haven't been really talking about Europa League in the past, but this is the quarterfinals of the Europa League. So as a result, we got... This is the bracket here for the Europa League. So you're going to take a look at the bracket, how each team is set up. So let's see, Napoli versus Arsenal. For the iTunes listeners, I showed the picture. So as a result, Napoli versus Arsenal, Villarreal versus Valencia, Benfica versus Frankfurt, Chelsea versus Slavia Praha. Those are the quarterfinals. Let's see what we got. Possible semifinals could be Napoli or Arsenal versus Villarreal or Valencia. And then on the other side of the bracket will be Benfica versus Frankfurt versus Chelsea or Slavia Praha. So here the teams will play, and the quarterfinals will be on the 18th and on the 11th and 18th of April, and the semifinals will be on the 2nd and the 9th of May. And then the final will be on Wednesday, the 29th of May, in the Olympic Stadium of Baku. In Baku. So how do I see this going on? Obviously, the best game here is going to be Napoli versus Arsenal. It's probably the most competitive game there. Two good teams there. Well, two top teams in their own league there. People are probably going to be going for Arsenal. I'm thinking I'm going to give the slight edge. Honestly, Arsenal has the better chances of winning, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Napoli. But, never give in for the Gunners out there. Between Villarreal and Valencia, my pick is going to be Valencia. So it's two Spanish teams right there. I think Valencia will get into there. It will pass through Chelsea and Slavia Praha. Even though Chelsea is not so doing well they started off good, went downhill in the Premier League. I think Chelsea can win this and move on to the quarterfinals. Between Benfica and Frankfurt, I'm going to go with giving it to Benfica. Just a slide over to Benfica. Yeah. And then Benfica versus Chelsea. In my own prediction, Benfica and Chelsea for the semis. I think Chelsea will actually go to the finals. And then if Napoli wins against Arsenal as my pick against Valencia, I think Napoli will beat Valencia. And then it'll be Chelsea versus Napoli. And Chelsea actually wins Europa League. That's how I'm going to see it as. So Barcelona is my number one pick for Champions, and Europa League, Chelsea will be my number one pick. But you never know. Again, like I said, football. As for the question for Soccer Talk of the week, what are your predictions? Who do you think is... Let's go with who's your number one pick for Champions League? Who is your number one pick? And which opponent which was the opponent to avoid in the quarterfinals? Which one's the one to avoid? We can also do it as simple as who will advance. Pretty much like what I did, run it through. That's my questions. Who's your number one pick? Who's the one team to avoid in the quarterfinals? And which teams will advance to the semifinals? Those are three questions in one. For Champions League, you can also do Europa League if you want. But we're going to move on with, let's see, end of an era. So I wanted to do this real quick for my Hispanics, my Mexicans, mainly my Mexican friends out here. Listeners, watchers, whatever, if anybody's watching or listening. It's the end of an era for a certain player. Obviously, our number one striker that we talked about for the past couple of weeks was Javier Hernandez, or as you may know him as Chicharito, El Chicharito. The man from Guadalajara who came from Chivas. I don't know if he's from there, but I think he is from there. But he started off in Chivas and moved on to Manchester United and then went off to, in his career. But yeah, I think his era just ended with what we just saw in the, semis, quarterfinals of the FA Cup. I can't remember. It was Wolves versus Manchester United, and Wolves won 2-1, I believe. I think that was the result, 2-1. I don't remember the result, but pretty much Jimenez scored an amazing goal. It really was amazing. I'm gonna tell you, it was amazing, and got the win for Wolves. He scored the second goal, so I think it ended 2-1. But I think Wolves, he got the lead by 2-0 from Wolves. Pretty much the goal that got them the victory. Amazing goal if you didn't see it. Raúl Jimenez, I can see him for the next 4 years being the main striker for Mexico, for El Tri. He's gonna be in his prime, so he's gonna be making moves, obviously. So yeah, I think Chicharito will be moving out slowly. I think he's still gonna be playing for El Tri a little bit. Maybe subs, maybe being subbed in, maybe being subbed out. I don't know. But Jimenez will be the main striker for El Tri for the couple, maybe 4 to 5 years, maybe. But another player that I'm looking out, that I'm keeping an eye on, is PSV's Lozano, El Chucky. That's what they call him, El Chucky. Jimenez obviously started off in America. Moved on to, I think he moved on to Wolves afterwards. I don't know if he went anywhere else. But El Chucky started off in Pachuca, and he is now playing in PSV, and I believe he's one of the top scorers in the league right now. PSV is in first, I believe, in the League of Holland. I'm not too sure, but he is also a player to look at. He's really young, so in the next couple of years, he will get into his prime. He still has time to grow, and he's growing great in PSV. They're going to treat him right. And he will be the future as well. We'll probably be seeing him and Jimenez more than, Chicharito in the striking force for El Tri. But let's talk about Club World Cup now. So as you know, a Club World Cup was usually only champions of each, like say Europa, the Champions League. Whoever wins Champions League, they go to the Club World Cup. Whoever wins Copa Libertadores, I think, and CONCACAF for North America, Libertadores for the South American teams. But pretty much it was only based off of like 9 teams maybe. But let's get into this. FIFA confirmed today that there will be a 24-team Club World Cup, which will start in the summer of 2021. It will take place every 4 years. However, there are rumors that some of the bigger clubs in Europe do not want to participate in it. So this sounds cool, right? It sounds amazing. I remember back in FIFA 08 when I played, I used to create a tournament. Pretty much gathered top teams of each league and put them in a pretty much Club World Cup. My own Club World Cup. And pretty much I didn't play any games. I just let it play through, simmed all the matches, watched the matches. And it pretty much was set up as group stages. And then the 2 top teams would advance into a knockout stage. And then it goes on, pretty much claiming a champion. That's what I used to do. That's what I used to do with FIFA when I played FIFA. And it seems my dream is coming true. It sounds badass. It really sounds. But it seems like top teams don't want to participate in it. Probably because of, it's a lot. It's too much. It'll probably be a lot for the players. I don't know how. Maybe some tournaments have to be, eliminated. I don't know. But it does seem like a lot. Honestly, it does. It will replace the current 7-team annual Club World Cup. So yeah, I was right. 7 teams, each from each continent, which is currently played in December with an expanded quadrennial version in June through July 2021. Friday's announcement was made by FIFA President Gianni Infantino despite a letter from Europe's elite clubs telling them that they will not take part in the competition. The stark message was handed to UEFA President Alexander Seferin from the European Club Association, which represents 232 of the continent's leading teams, and was sent via email on Tuesday, 3 days before the crucial meeting in Miami on Friday. The letter was signed by Manchester United Executive Vice Chairman Ed Woodward, Celtic's Peter Lawwell, and the bosses of Ajax, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and PSG on Tuesday. So here I got a little picture of them explaining that these teams don't want to participate in this tournament, in this competition. And there were signatures of the presidents, I believe. Hold on, let me see. Chairmans, members. So a bunch of important people, it seems, from clubs. So I see Juventus, Real Madrid, PSG, Bayern Munich, Ajax, Olympique Lyonnais, Manchester United, Malmo FF, Celtic, Benfica, Barcelona, Warsaw, Heishi, okay, I can't pronounce that. FSC member, RSC, Anderlecht. So big teams right there, honestly, from each league, from different leagues in the European League. So they asked him if he was concerned about the prospect of FIFA staging a new Club World Cup in 2021 without any of Europe's elite clubs. Infantino said, "We hope that all the best teams will participate, and we've had some very positive discussions with UEFA. But today it was our responsibility to take a decision because we have to deal with the organizational matters. It is only 2 years away." Wow, 2 years away. Infantino added he was extremely happy at the council backing his plans to stage the new tournament in the slot previously scheduled for the traditional World Cup warm-up event, the Confederations Cup, from June 17th to July 4th. And I think it starts... So club football is evolving at a different pace in different parts of the world, and we want to have an exciting, prestigious, and inclusive competition, and we'll have that with this Club World Cup starting in 2021. And then they talk about Qatar, if they're going to do a 48 team. They still don't know that about that. They still don't know about that yet. If it happens, it'll be fantastic, obviously. I mean, all this stuff honestly sounds cool to us, to the viewers, right? To fans of football. Like, wow, a Club World Cup. I mean, I created my own Club World Cup in FIFA. The 48 team in the World Cup sounds awesome as well. But we don't know what goes on behind, with like the chairmans, the business side of the clubs and all that. Like how much money it takes, how much it takes on the players, like the fatigueness. Players can get injured. And if they play like all these games and all these competitions. So yeah, they're right. He's right. Club football is evolving. And, honestly, this Club Football World Cup, it seems awesome to me, but like whenever I also love playing career mode on FIFA, and with the scheduling, you like players are tired, they're fatigued, sometimes they're not happy. But you know what, this could have more playing time for other players that don't get to play in like leagues. I've seen I've get messages on career mode. I know it's just a game, but it can happen in real life as well. Players saying, "Hey, I want more playing time." Maybe with competitions, you can swap out, players. Like, these players can play leagues. These players can play, these extra tournaments. But we'll see what happens. It sounds cool, but, and you also got to think about, hosting. Like, we've seen the scandals with FIFA and what they do. They change laws, in some countries, and, they force them to make to build these big stadiums, and that just affects, city budgets, like all this stuff, like in Rio, like in Brazil, like they made them build all these stadiums, brand new stadiums, and, it takes a lot of budget from the city and the country. And after the World Cup has ended, after for like 2 months, those stadiums are empty. Like, what are you gonna do with them, right? So you gotta think about that stuff as well. So hopefully Club World Cup won't, if it does happen, well, I think they actually made it official already, but hopefully they don't like force, these cities, wherever they host them, to spend all this money to build new stadiums like they do with the World Cup, and just use the stadiums that's already that are already there. Like, kind of like Champions League, they go to these stadiums that are like that are already made. They don't have to build the new ones. But yeah, it's a lot to think about. It's not just like, for the fans thinking like, wow, I'm gonna go to a Club World Cup game and live happy. I don't know, live my dream, because we just pay. That's it, to go see a game, and we don't know what happens with like the whole budgets of the city and stuff. It can ruin like FIFA scandals. So I'm trying to say FIFA scandals. So that's about everything of soccer talk. That's everything. So just answer what we talked about. Champions League. What do you guys think about the Champions League? Who do you think is gonna advance? Who do you think the questions I've asked? What teams to avoid? What are the teams to avoid? Who's your number one pick? Same thing with if you want to do Europa League, answer the Europa League ones. And for my Hispanics, like, what do you think of the end of the era of Chicharito, like, and the new era for Jimenez or Lozano, players like that? Or what about what's your opinions on the Club World Cup? How do you feel about that? Because I'm on both sides. Like, I understand that I created a tournament like that in FIFA. I love it. It's amazing. But I also understand the side of the costs of things like this. So yeah, thanks for watching. Pretty much, if you stay tuned for the whole thing, this is Summy number 36. Make sure to hit the bell, comment, like, share. Tell people about us. We do soccer talk. We do some extra stuff we did on the news part, stories. Just good conversations. Try to hang out with me. Hopefully this thing grows, and stay tuned keep an eye out for live streams. I'll be doing. Well, I'm not gonna say what I want to be doing because this thing is not gonna come out until who knows. Couple days, 2 days maybe. I have some trouble sometimes, but I'm making some other stuff, so keep an eye out on other content. Cool. Make sure to follow my social medias out there in the description box below. Make sure to check that out. There's extra stuff in there. And as always, have a great day. Have a nice weekend. I don't know if we're gonna do a sub-media next week, because I'll probably be in Japan. And cool. Peace. Always go. Remember my saying. Always go for no.